Hello, I'm Helen Bradley and welcome to this video tutorial. Today I'll show you how to create an ebook template in Microsoft Word 2007. Ebooks are very popular these days, and the ability to save a document as a PDF file from Word 2007 makes Word a really good tool to use to create your ebook. If you're creating more than one ebook, then you'll benefit from creating a template for doing so. Then you can simply open this template and put your content in it. It's very easy to alter the template look by simply altering the styles that control the template. So I'm going to show you how to create an ebook template like this. It has a cover, a table of contents. It has chapters 1, 2, and 3 already preset, and it has headers and footers. And you can add other elements to it if you desire. But let's get started creating this version. I'm going to choose the Office button and click New. And I'm just going to select a new blank document. This is just a standard Word document. And I'm going to start by adding my book title. So I'm going to type the placeholder text for the final ebook. Then when I come to create the ebook, I'm going to be prompted with each particular item that needs to go in it. So I'm going to start with title. And then I'm going to add a second heading. And then the author. And then some more information. Now I'm doing all of this in a page that's sized on the screen so I can see pretty much how it's going to look when it's finished. That's important because on a cover page, spacing is going to be critical. I'm going to press the Enter key after I've added other information, and I'm going to insert a page break. So we're going on to the second page of the document. Now I could do this from the Insert menu, but I'm going to choose the Page Layout menu because this breaks option here we're going to use quite a bit throughout this video. I'm going to choose Breaks and select Page. That gives me a page break. So we're starting now on page 2. But before we leave page 1, let's just format it. I'm going to select the title, and let's just size this up so that we can see it a little more clearly. I'm going to select the title. I'm going to the Home tab, and from the Styles drop-down list, I'm going to select the title option. So here is my title. And then I'm going to select a style for the second line, book heading. I think for now I'll just choose subtitle. And then I'm going to select an option for author and other information. I'll style those exactly the same way. And I'll just choose intents for those. Now right now things don't look particularly good when they're arranged on the page. This is my page and everything's jammed into the top corner. What I want to do is to make changes to the styles that are controlling my title. This will allow me to easily change the title again later on if I want to change the look of it, simply by altering the style. So I know what style I used here, so I'm just going to right-click on the book title style and choose Modify. And now I can modify how it looks. For a start, it's a little bit too small for me. So I'm going to size it up. I'm using Myriad Pro, and that's just fine for me. I might choose a different color for it though. I'll choose a theme color so that I can alter it again later on by changing the document theme. I want new documents based on this template to share this same style, so I'm going to select this option and just click OK. And now my title is formatted as I wanted it to be, and I'm just going to center it on the page. Now let's go to second line heading. And this is the format we used for that. I'm going to right click it and choose Modify. I'd like to use Myriad Pro again, so I'm going to select Myriad Pro. I'm going to perhaps adjust the size up a little bit, perhaps to 20 points. I'm going to make sure that new documents based on this template include this particular style, and I'm going to center it on the page. So I'll just click OK. So now my book cover is looking a little bit neater. I'm going to move the author information further down the page just by adding some carriage returns or pressing Enter a number of times. Let's select these two items, and now let's change the style here It's called Intent, so I'm going to right click and choose Modify. What I want to do here is to just make sure that all new documents based on this template include this style. I'm going to change the font size so that it's much larger. And then having done that, I'll just click OK. That's pushed the author information down the page. I'm going to center it on the page. And you can see I've pushed it way too far down the page, so I'm just going to delete some of these enter keys or carriage returns that I've placed in the document into this title page, just to bring the author and other information a bit further up the page. So now that I've got my title page looking as I want it to be, let's go to the second page, and this is going to be the table of contents. For my table of contents, I want a heading. I'm just going to call it table of contents, and I'm going to format it using one of my styles. I think I'll use the same intent style as I use for the author and other information, and I'll make sure it's centered on the page. I'm now going to add a table of contents to the document. I'm going to just left justify that, and now let's choose References, Table of Contents. I'm going to use the Insert Table of Contents option so that I can configure it to look the way I want it to look. I'd like 2 levels, so I want to show heading 1 and heading 2. And I'm going to format my text using these heading styles so that the table of contents is really easy to create. And I'll just click OK. And click OK again. Now, no table of contents entries have been found, but my table of contents is going to work just fine in a few minutes once I actually add some table of contents entries. So now let's add a section break. A section break is important because it allows us to make a physical break bigger than a page break between the table of contents and the actual data. And we're going to use that later on to number the pages in the document a little more intelligently. So I'm going to choose breaks and then next page. This is a section break which is forcing a new page to begin. And here we are down in our new page. And this is going to be our first chapter. So I'm going to type chapter 1. And chapter 1 is going to have a subheading, and then it's going to have some body text. Right now you can see that the formatting is being inherited from a previous element that I formatted. We're going back now and we're going to use heading 1 style for our chapter heading. And then the subheading is going to be heading 2 style. And heading 2 style is not actually in the list here, so I'm just going to select Apply Styles to open this little Apply Styles dialog, and I'm going to type in heading 2 and click Apply, and that will apply heading 2 to that, and then this is just going to be normal, and I'll apply that. Now, normal doesn't seem to be being applied correctly, so I'm just going to clear the formatting from that text, and now it's reset to normal. We can modify how these styles look, so I'm going into heading 1. I'm going to right click here and choose Modify, and I can change the font, for example, to Myriad Pro, and then the size, I might want a 16-point heading. I've got it left justified, that's fine, but I want new documents based on this template to also include this particular style. So I'll click OK. And here we've got heading 2. I'm just going to right click this and choose Modify, and let's just change how this looks. Again, I want it to be Myriad Pro. I think I want it to be italics but not bold. And I want new documents based on this template to show that style, and click OK. I think we've got some styles that are being inherited here from this intense emphasis. So I'm just going to clear the formatting from this text and then just reapply heading 2 to make sure that it's working correctly. And then let's select our body text, which should be normal style. Right click, choose Modify, and then make sure that we're using the fonts and style that we actually want to in this document. I think I want everything to be this blue color, so I'm going to select the blue color for the text, make sure that new documents based on this template are going to include this style, and click OK. So here's my chapter 1, And if I'm typing a chapter that has subheadings and body text through it, I might want multiples of these. So I'm going to select these two options and copy them and then paste them again. And this will allow me to preset not only chapter 1's title area, but also the subheadings and the body text. If I'm happy with that, I'm actually going to copy it because I can use the whole lot in a minute. But I'm going to add a section break between chapter 1 and chapter 2. Again, page layout breaks, and I want a next page section break. In here, I'm going to paste that text that I just brought in. So I'm going to paste it in here, and this is going to be the layout for chapter 2. All I need to do is to alter the chapter number. Now I'm going to include another section break. And we're going to start chapter 3 in here. I'm going to paste in these details. This is chapter 3, and it's all laid out ready for text. Now let's just have a look at where we are to date. I've got my title page and it's moved around a little bit again. I'm just going to make sure that it is now all on the one page, a table of contents, and then I have chapters 1, 2 and 3 pre-laid out. Rather than anticipating how many chapters this book might have, what I could do in here is just to write a note to myself or to another user, just explaining how they would create chapters 4, 5 and 6. They would do it by copying the data from chapter 3 here, inserting a section break and then adding it to a new page. And just by adding those little notes here, we can make the ebook template just a little bit more functional by making sure that our user knows exactly how to use it. Now what I want to do before I go too much further is to add a header and footer into this and also test my table of contents. Let's test the table of contents by clicking in this entry here now and press F9 to update it. And when I do, you can see that the chapters and subheadings are now added into the table of contents. This is chapter 1 subheading and a second subheading for chapter 1, chapter 2 and chapter 3. And as these chapters and subheadings are moved around the document as we add content to it, then we can update these page numbers by just coming into the table of contents, just clicking here and pressing F9 to update it. We'll be given the choice of updating page numbers only or the entire table. And typically what you'll want to do is to update the entire table, because if you've added more subheadings, you want those to appear too. Update entire table, click OK. For our headers and footers, I'm going to the Insert menu. And I'm going to choose Header, and I'm going to select a header style. I like this one that has a title in it, so I'm going to select that. And I'm going to select a footer as well, and we'll choose the same footer. This has got some text and a page number. I'm probably just going to use the page number part of it in a minute. So I'll add that. Now we've got a whole lot more header and footer than we actually need. I don't want a header in page 1, and I don't want one on the table of contents page either. So I'm just going to click in the header section here, and let's go to the design area and let's manage some of the controls here. I want to go to where I want the headers to start, which is really in this chapter 1 area. And at the moment it says same as previous. I don't want this header to be the same as the previous because I'm about to get rid of the previous one. So I'm going to undo this link. And now this header on the chapter 1 page has been unlinked from the previous one in the document. And I'm going to do the same for the footer here. So I'm going down here into the footer and I'm going to disable this link. So now chapter 1 has its own header. By coincidence, it's the same as the header used here, but we're going to get rid of this one. So let's just get in there and just press delete. I'm going to get rid of all the pieces in here. And when I got rid of that header, what it did was it just tipped back the title page to just take up one page. So you can see that the header's gone from the title page and from this table of contents page, but it still exists in chapter 1. And in chapter 2 too, because it's got same as previous. And that's fine because I want all my chapters to have exactly the same header and footer. I just don't want the first 2 pages of my document to have headers or footers. So now that I've unlinked this footer, I can get rid of it from this part of the document. So I'm just going to select it and press delete. So we have no header, no footer on the first 2 pages, but we do have headers and footers in the chapter areas. I'm just going to get rid of this type text one because I don't actually want that there, but I do want the page number, so I'm going to leave them there. And I'm just going to type book title in here as a reminder as to what will go in that header. Now the only thing I need to consider now is how I want my page numbering to be. At the moment the chapter here is page 3, but I may want it to be, say, page 2, allowing the table of contents to be page 1, or I may want the first chapter to be actually on page 1. It's my choice, but how I change that is I'm going into the footer. So let's just grab the footer of page 1, click in here, and I'm going to click on this little code in here. And let's just show you where we are. So we're at the foot of chapter 1, and we're in this page number here, and we want to select this little code. And then I'm going to choose the page number option, and I'm going to choose format page numbers. So this is in header and footer tools, design, page number, format page numbers. And what I don't want to do is to continue from the previous section, because the previous section is the title or cover page and the table of contents. I want to start at something here, and I can start at page 1, or I could start at page 2, allowing the table of contents to be page 1. I'll just click OK. And so now our chapter 1 is actually starting on page 2. Let's go back to our table of contents, and let's press F9 and update the entire table, and we'll see that when we zoom in here, chapter 1 is starting on page 2 of the document. We've done that by creating a page number in the footer. We've numbered the page the way we want it to look, and then Word is taking care of making sure that the table of contents reflects our choice of page numbers. Even though it's not the logical second page of the document, it's actually the third page of the document logically, but that's what we want to call it. We want to call it page 2, so Word is maintaining that page numbering system. So now that we've created our template, I'm just going to flick through here, just make sure everything's looking fine. I'm going to save it as a template so we can use it later on. To do that, I'm going to click the Office button, Save As Word Template. Now, what you need to do here is, because Word does not typically default to your templates folder, you want to go into favorite links and click templates so that you make sure that you're saving your new template to the document templates folder so that you can find it really easily later on. So I'm going to call this my ebook and just click save. And now I can close this. And now we'll close the previous one that I showed you earlier, as we don't need that either. And now I have an empty Word document on the screen. Let's use that template we just created. Clicking the Office button, I'm selecting New, and I'm going to choose a My Templates option. And what I want is my ebook. Here it is. And I'll just click OK. And here's a new document based on the template that we just created, and it's got all the chapters and all the data already in it, just ready for us to start typing. So for my ebook, I can start by typing the title and then the second line heading, then the author and other information. The table of contents will be automatically generated, and all I need to do now is to go in and start my chapters. When I've done that and my ebook is complete, I can save this as a PDF file. I'll choose the Office button and then Save As, and because I've installed the add-in for Microsoft Word 2007, I can now publish the document as a PDF file. I'll also save it as a Word file, and that's really important because I want to be able to edit it if there are changes needing to be made to it, and it's much easier to change it as a Word document than it is to try and get it back out of a PDF file. Now, one of the other things to be aware of is that because we created this document using styles, it can be easily edited. So if we come along later and choose a different style set, now these have just run off the screen, but I'm just going to select a number of the styles that are available for this Word program. You can see that the entire document changes every time I choose a different style. So let's select one of these. I've got the manuscript style selected here. We may need to adjust the title page or the cover page because that's walked a little bit and it's not particularly attractive. We may want to change that. But we can also change the look of the document using themes. From the themes list here, we can get different color and font options by, again, just selecting a different theme for our document. And you can configure colors within a theme, as well as choosing different font face combinations and also different effects. So using styles in the document to format the document actually gives you a head start on creating a very different look for another ebook, but without having to do much more than just tidy up a little bit of formatting that perhaps doesn't look as attractive in this new style. In this case, that would be our cover page. Our cover page would certainly need work, but all the rest of the document has been formatted quite attractively, and this would give us a different option for creating a different style of ebook, but by just selecting different styles and different themes rather than having to go and format the whole thing all over again. So there you have some of the basics of creating an ebook template in Microsoft Word. And of course, with Word 2007 and 2010, you're going to be able to save these documents as PDFs very, very easily.